something I think is really cool is that protein can help us tan in the sun. And I was talking yesterday about the amino acid tyrosine actually helps to build melanation in the body, which is so cool because years ago I had a really horrible diet. I was like addicted to Ben and Jerry's and staying up late, and I was so pale, and I would burn every time I went in the sun. And then when I started eating more protein, I found that it was a lot easier to tan. Now people always tell me, they're like, oh, your skin looks good and you're so tan. But years ago, I was pale and I had trouble with acne and I was taking acne medication. So I found this paper, just I wanted to share it with you guys. It says melanin is a natural pigment found in various tissues throughout the body, most notably in the skin, hair, and eyes. So it's cool because it also talks about pigment of the eyes and pigment of the hair, which makes you think about, is gray hairing, is it a result of aging or is it a result of melanation disturbance? And kind of this pathway with tyrosine makes me think of why they say, hey, you need a little bit more protein as you age, not only for muscle growth but also for the health of our hair, skin, and nails. Melanin is synthesized in the epidermis by specialized pigment-producing cells called melanocytes through a biochemical pathway that begins with the amino acid tyrosine. Although melanin's primary function is to protect cells from the damaging effects of UV radiation, it also plays essential roles in skin pigmentation, eye and hair color, evolutionary adaptation to sunlight, and aspects of cutaneous immune function. Cutaneous has anything to do with the skin. So like again, if you are struggling with your skin health, I always say the skin is our first line of defense. It's actually your first look. If you look at someone, that walk into the doctor's office, you're going to look and see what's going on with the skin, because the skin is the first barrier of immune function. So if problems with eczema, anything like that, it's so important to notice how important tyrosine is in protecting cutaneous immune function. Anyway, disruptions in melanin production can lead to conditions such as albinism, characterized by little to no pigment in the skin, hair, or eyes. Oculocutaneous eyes is albinism type 1, the most common form, results in mutations in tyronase. So tyronase is a copper dependent enzyme. So that's why I just feel like, again, like when you start to read these papers, and all I did was Google melanin biochemistry. It'll give you an exact paper. When you start to look at like these biochemical processes, you'll start to realize like, oh, let me just take this iron supplement. Oh, iron depends on copper, and all these other things. Like nothing in the body, being that we are so complex, supplements may help in a short term if you are struggling with something. Like you could use it as medicine to aid you in with whatever is going on. But everything we need comes from Mama Nature, especially like just look at people, look at the worst of the worst. Google this lady, her name's like Mimi something. She was on Anthony Chavy's podcast. She reversed her Parkinson's disease through a carnivore diet. Why does carnivore diet help these people to heal from grave illnesses? Because when you're eating tons of red meat has a ton of iron, ton of copper, selenium, all these little micronutrients, every single amino acid, every fatty acid that we need to go through these biochemical pathways. There's so many biochemical pathways. Now, I'm sure she didn't only eat the carnivore diet. She also exercised, she strength trained, and she went out in the sun, because tyrosine in itself, phenylalanine, which is the essential amino acid that can convert into tyrosine, and then tryptophan, which is one that I talk about all the time. Tryptophan turns into serotonin, turns into melatonin. It can also have an alternate pathway. Tryptophan can turn to the kynurenine pathway, involved in disease and inflammatory states. These are, they call aromatic amino acids, and their particular shape, like they do their conversion, most of it. It's so beautiful. Going out into the sun is so magical. It's biochemistry, you know? Like, you didn't even have to go to a university to become a biochemist. You were born a biochemist. Every single breath, every time you read something, every time you interact with someone, you are doing biochemistry. Every time you exercise, you go in the sun, like every conversation you have, even just watching this video, like, we're exchanging gut bacteria here. So I'm doing my best just to provide you with good information and a calm environment so that you feel good after you watch this video and that you feel empowered to go do your own research. Okay, so tyrosine is a key precursor for the synthesis of melanin, the pigment responsible for coloration of skin, hair, and eyes. Melanin biosynthesis, so to synthesize means to build, begins with the conversion of tyrosine into dihydroxyphenylalanine, L-DOPA, and subsequently into dopa-quinone, a critical intermediate, through the action of the enzyme tyronase. This enzyme is copper dependent and tightly regulated as it catalyzes the rate limiting steps in melanogenesis. Genesis means to create. Melanogenesis, we have neurogenesis, we have hippocampal neurogenesis, we have all of these. With gluconeogenesis, we can make our own energy. All of these are dependent on all of these minerals that we can get. So again, I just want to encourage you to go look at carnivore and ketogenic diet, especially if you're someone who's sensitive. Now, I'm not saying that this diet is meant for everyone, but I've found within myself, because I also was born with cataracts. If you're new here, I don't know if you can see the white dots. There may be too much light from this video. I do have white dots in the center of my pupil. I was born with cataracts, and so I don't get as much light in my eyes as a person without cataracts. So it's really important for me. I notice a huge difference in going out and getting the full spectrum of sunlight through the eyes, but also very sensitive to things like sugar and whatnot too. So for me, when I picked up my protein intake years ago, so helpful. So helpful. And that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the glazed donut after or whatever. You just prioritize your protein first, and then you're able to have fun. And why are you prioritizing your protein? It's not for the gains. It's for copper, iron, zinc, selenium. It's for all of these little micronutrients that help these biochemical reactions. As I was reading this, is talking about through the action of the enzyme tyrosinase. I'm not able, can't even speak sometimes, but it's there. When you look at the cell, like, there's so much going on. Like, you can even talk about like insulin resistance. Like, there's the hormone insulin, and then there's the receptors for it, and then there's all these enzymes, and then there's all these, like, the body is so complicated. It's so beautiful. And that's why I go back to the fact that, like, you can't supplement your way to better health. Like, you have to jump into the complexity of what the biochemistry is and saturate your body, nourish the body with nourishing whole foods, because the body is so complex, and it requires, like, it works as a team. Like, that single cell, who is that single cell without all of the trillions of other cells, right? They're like working together like a community. Like, I would never be here without my mom and my dad. I would never be here without my grandparents, and on that side, my grandparents on this side. You know, I wouldn't have the water that I was drinking and the filter I was drinking it from without other people. You know, we are, even if you want to feel like independent and on your own, like, you would never be here without other people and the people raising the food. And, you know, it's really beautiful when you start to remember that everything is so connected. And so, yeah, so, you know, a lot of people are very, you know, we've been confused about the sun because we've been told that it's bad for us and it causes UV damage. It definitely does if you stay in the sun too long, and if you are not eating enough protein, and specifically phenylalanine and tyrosine, to help produce this melanation to protect us from the UV. It definitely can be damaging to our bodies. You know, one of my favorite quotes I heard the other day is like, it's a cure. Oh man, what is it? Oh, a cure in a high enough dose is also a poison. Something of that nature. I wrote it down. It's somewhere around here. course I can't find it when I need it. You know, you never have things when you need it. It's around here somewhere. I want to read it to y'all because it's beautiful. I don't know where I put it. A cure in a high enough dose is also a poison. So even too much exercise can put us into a heat stroke or fatigue place, like can compromise our sleep function. People have died from drinking too much water. So it's always about this balance. But when I look back to what allows me to engage with my environment, I look back and I look and say it's undeniable that we need proteins, like all these enzymes, all these peptides. You know, people are taking a lot of peptides. Peptides are the craze. The supplements. All of this is found in Mama Nature, in animal-based protein, and you just keep it simple. You could keep it so simple, and you know, we just have different words for things. Like we have different ways to say fat. Like we call fat fat. We call it a lipid, and we also call it an oil. We call even butter. Like butter is a fat too. It's like, why is it so confusing? We have ghee. Ghee is a fat. You know, it just doesn't have the dairy in it. So how can I deepen my understanding to be more confident in my choices that I'm making? So one thing too is, like, you know, people oftentimes, like, I look under the people always say, I'm confused, I don't even know what to do anymore because this person over here is doing this person here is over doing this. And, you know, I'll always say, I think the most important thing is the belief that everything's going to be okay and that we're doing things at the perfect place at the perfect time. But go listen to these stories about people reversing Parkinson's and people reversing Alzheimer's, dementia. Like, I mean, if those diseases, like, if it doesn't scare you to, like, lose your memory, lose a sense of who you are at age 40 or earlier. Like, Dr. Mary Newport's work with her husband Steve he was getting early onset dementia in his early 50s. And so she gave him coconut oil, MCT oil, fats to help regress his Alzheimer's, dementia. And, you know, it really is so, it's just, it touches you, these stories, hearing it from people. So the podcast that I really like, I want to recommend, was No Carb Life. That's the one I've really been watching a lot. They have Dr. Anthony Chaffee, they have Ken Berry, and then Dr. Gabrielle Lyon is also, I think, a lot more balanced with everything as well. She doesn't promote a carnivore diet, she just promotes getting enough protein and getting enough essential amino acids in, because they are so important for our skin, our immune function, how we show up in the world, patience, our mitochondria. All this comes down to the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Always comes back to them. Is it, if they don't have enough energy, the powerhouse of the cell doesn't have enough energy, a lot of issues come, because our bodies are so beautiful and our brains are so beautiful, and they do require so much energy per day. So irritation, agitation are symptoms of depression and anxiety. They're also symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's. So, you know, if you feel agitation, you feel irritated, you have trouble sleeping, you know, you experiment. You pick up your protein intake and you're like, does this help me? For me, it helped tremendously years ago, but I can only say from my personal experience. So anyway, I love you so much. I just want you to remember that we don't see ourselves accurately. Always do your own research. And like I said, again, even just Googling, what I Googled was melanin biochemistry. So anything you're trying to look up, vitamin D, biochemistry. And there's some words in here that I don't know. You know, I read it and then I pick up the context of it. Or can do another Google search. You don't have to be like this word right here, tetrahydrobiopterin. That's one word. I don't know. Tetra is for hydro, water, biology, and I don't know what pterin is, but you know, you can start to put together words if you just start learning a little bit at a time. But anyway, I hope that all of this was accurate for you. I never tried to deceive you in any way. I do make mistakes, and anyway, I'm gonna leave this here, but I do love you so much, and I wish you the best of luck.